Hi, my name's Cassie Nobbs. I'm a physiotherapist at Comox Physiotherapy in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. My passion is helping people find healthy movement to improve their quality of life, whether that means being able to garden without pain or running a marathon. I hope these videos are helpful. Hi there, I've put together a series of videos relating to irritated shoulders, or post-surgical shoulders, or injured shoulders. Whatever your case might be, these exercises may be helpful for you. But while I am a physiotherapist, I may not be your physiotherapist. And if I'm not your physiotherapist, please consult with the appropriate healthcare professional prior to beginning these exercises. Shoulders are really tricky, and there's no need to make your pain worse just because you didn't do the right thing. So many of us physiotherapists these days are not necessarily available in person, but a lot of us are available via telehealth. So if you've not looked into that option, it's a good option to get a little bit of advice and to make sure you're doing the right thing. Let's begin. Before I get into some of my favorite early range of motion exercises, I want to talk about two shoulder positions. One is Y arms, which is literally good old-fashioned YMCA Y arms, and the other one is box arms, and this would be box arms. So the thing about Y arms is that the moment you get your arms up above your head like this, there's going to be a tendency for you to compensate by shifting your rib cage forward. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see that a little bit better. So same thing here, arms up, thumbs are going back, rib cage will want to go forwards. It's your job as you lift to engage your core and get those arms coming up above your head like so without losing the rib cage position. So you can see how I can't get my arms quite straight. They're pretty stiff right now because I've been sitting in front of a computer a lot. So the other one was box arms. So box arms looks like this. There's the same danger of the rib cage piece here, so you have to pay attention to that, but there's something else. There's a tendency for people when they come up here to let their elbows go back first and their hands kind of follow, or their palms are also facing forwards. Any combination of those things. So from the side, what it really should look like is arms come up, thumbs are going back, hands lead the motion as the elbows open, and you're still controlling the rib cage, and then come on back down. So Y arms and box arms. Now doing those two motions in standing is, as I've just demonstrated them, is actually quite difficult. So we're going to move through a set of ways to do these exercises that are a little bit easier, so you can start working on them before you actually have enough strength to maybe get your arms up here. That'll be next. I'm going to talk about some different ways that you can do Y arms and box arms. If it's very early in your recovery from some sort of shoulder injury and you can't really lift your arm up, it's in your best interest to use gravity assistance. So the first version I'm going to show you is lying flat on this bench here, where I can use gravity to help get my arms up above my head in that Y arm position. So here, I'm just going to lie back. Oh, need to move my microphone. I always forget. Okay, so I'm here. I'm going to slide down. Now, if my shoulders are very sensitive, and you can do this laying on your bed, it doesn't have to be on a bench, you can even do it laying on the floor. If my shoulders are very sensitive, I'm going to lace my hands together at my chest, almost with my thumbs touching my throat. In this case, almost touching my microphone. And then you're going to reach up towards the ceiling, like so, and then you can bring your arms up over your head, nice and slow and controlled, and gravity can help you get into position. Now, there's going to be that same tendency, especially if your arms are very stiff, for your rib cage to want to lift up. So you want to only go as far as you can, keeping your rib cage down against the surface that you're on, whether that's the floor or the bed. So thumbs in towards the chest, straight up towards the ceiling, up over the head, can release the hands and get into the Y position as best you can. Back up to the ceiling, hands together, and come back down to the chest. You could do repetitions of this, approximately 10 to 20, and that's going to help to loosen your shoulder up a lot in the initial stages. What you don't want to be doing is trying to lift from down here. That's actually a fair bit of torque on the shoulder. You want to make sure you're starting with bent elbows, unfolding towards the ceiling, and then doing the same thing when you come back down. Hands together and folding back towards the chest. This is not the easiest position to do box arms in, so I'm going to skip the box arms on this one. So the next thing you can do, so let's say that's gotten quite easy, is you can do what's called a lawn chair progression. Now lawn chair progression works for any shoulder movement where you're trying to get the arm up over your head and you just don't quite have the strength, but lying on your back is going to be too easy. So what we do in this case, it works in a recliner. The reason why it's called the lawn chair progression is because the old school lawn chairs that you used to be able to stack them up like this. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to lie back like so, and hopefully my shoulder is going to be happy enough now that I will be able to do it from here, and I can lift up into my Y-arm position and then come up above my head, and then come on back down and back towards my thighs, and up over my head and back towards my thighs. Now this is a great position for box arms also. So now I can get to here and then back down and up and into box arms position, thumbs towards the floor and back down. And that's going to be a good way for me to start to get that normal movement in as well. Now as I get stronger, I'm just going to keep bringing my backrest up until finally, so I'm here, this is kind of in between, until finally I can do it completely vertical. So up over my head or box arms like this. Y arms, box arms. So that's a nice way to progress from gravity helping you get your hands over your head to then having to work against gravity to get up over your head, which is much more functional. Now we're going to move on to how do you make it even harder so you can gain some strength. I'm going to demonstrate a version of Y-arms that you can use to regain range of motion, particularly if your arms are a little bit stiff. So let's say you've gotten pretty good at getting to about here, but you're missing that last little end range of motion. So you can use a wall to help. And so what I'm going to do is put my arms on the wall. I'm going to slide up the wall into my Y-arm position and then lean in, and then come on back down and slide down. So here we go. So arms up against the wall, sliding up, leaning in, coming out, sliding back down. Arms up, leaning in, coming back out, and coming down. It's a really nice way to increase your range of motion. If you want to add a tiny bit of strengthening, what you can do is slide in and then lift a bit at the end and then come on back down and then back down. And we're going to do a few shots from the back so you can see what my shoulder blades are doing. So up into the Y, leaning in, back down, up into the Y, leaning in, out, and down. And that's a nice version of Y-arms to increase mobility and work on a little bit of strengthening. Y-arms and box arms is really good for working on strengthening, particularly of postural muscles. So that will help shoulder dysfunction, but it also helps a lot with counteracting the effects of sitting at a computer all day long or sitting and driving. So what I'm doing is I'm up against the wall. The wall is going to give me a reference point so I can really concentrate on what I'm doing with my rib cage. My feet are a little ways away from the wall. I'm going to say maybe about 20 centimeters, about 1.5 feet for my American friends. So from this position, what I can do is I can pull in my lower abdomen so that my back stays relatively flat against the wall. It's okay if it's not perfectly flat. But what you want to do is monitor that position. So as I lift my arms up into the Y-arm position, the goal here is to not let my rib cage or my lower back come away from the wall any further than it already is. What will happen if you're compensating is as you come up, the rib cage will pop out in order for you to get your thumbs back here. So we want to avoid that. So down, really locking down that rib cage, holding it in position, and then lifting up towards the ceiling without the ribs moving, and then come on back down. So that's the Y-arms version. Box arms is essentially the same thing. It's just instead of going into your Y, you're going to go into your box position. So up, back into my box position like this, and then come on back down. Remembering that when you do box arms, it's more important that the thumbs go back than the elbows go back as you open. So a couple of shots from the front so you can see the box arms a little bit better. So up here, out into my box arms, elbows nice and high at shoulder height or slightly above, so not W. Box, and then just one more. So normally with this exercise I have people do approximately three sets of 10 to 20 of each motion. So in this video, we're going to take the concept of Y arms and box arms, and we're going to turn it into something more than a range of motion exercise and into more of a strengthening exercise. This is a great exercise for shoulders a little bit farther down the road when they're a bit more recovered and less painful. It's also a great exercise for people with postural issues who tend to sit a lot during the day, which includes me, so these should feel pretty good. So the first movement is Y arms, which you already know, but we're going to do it single-sided. So as I lay here on my bed, my arm's going to be off the side. Perhaps my hand touches the ground. That's okay. You can just let your elbow bend, and then you're going to slide your arm forwards until the arm is straight, thumb up towards the ceiling, and lift the whole arm up towards the ceiling, and then hand back down and let the arm relax. Slide, lift, down, relax. Slide, lift, down, relax. And you do that for about 10 repetitions and for about 3 sets. You could work up to 20, but this is a fairly challenging exercise. So the next one is your single arm version of box arms. Now, same idea, but now I'm moved over so that the upper arm is supported right to the elbow. So thumb forwards, hand comes up, and then back down. Up, back down. And 3 sets of 10 to 20 would be very appropriate for this exercise. Normally I would do these exercises with my head down. I just have my head lifted in order to chat with you guys as I'm doing them. So if I was actually to do them, I would do them like this. Because you don't want to be constantly lifting your neck, because that's going to cause some neck strain. These are slightly more difficult exercises. They're not ones that you want to try early on or if your shoulder's still quite sensitive, but they're great exercises when you're kind of getting to later stages of recovery and really working on regaining function and strength.